You know that feeling when you realize you've been written out of your own family story? That's what happened to me. I grew up in what people thought was the perfect American family. Two parents who worked hard, two kids who were always dressed nicely, and a house in a quiet suburb. From the outside, we looked ordinary, happy even. But on the inside, there was always this quiet tension, a kind of invisible scale where everything tipped in my brother's favor. It wasn't obvious at first. When we were little, my brother Daniel got new bikes while I got hand-me-downs. He got expensive sports gear. I got clearance rack clothes. When I asked about it, my mom would say, "Sweetheart, he just needs more because boys are rough on their things." Or my dad would chime in with, "Don't be ungrateful. Your brother's achievements justify the investment." Achievements. That was their favorite word. Daniel played football in high school, and though he wasn't even good enough to be scouted, you'd think he was NFL material the way they treated him. Every touchdown was celebrated like a national holiday. Meanwhile, my straight A's, my honor roll certificates, even my scholarship applications were brushed off with a pat on the back and the line, "Well, of course you did well. That's expected of you." So I learned to swallow my resentment. I told myself it was just favoritism, just parents being blinded by the golden child. I thought eventually, when I became an adult, things would even out. I thought wrong. Because nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for the day I found out my parents bought my brother a house. Not rented, not co-signed, bought. With their money. Paid in full. I still remember that evening. I was over at their place for Sunday dinner. My mom was unusually giddy, practically bouncing in her chair. My dad kept pouring himself wine like he had something to celebrate. I thought maybe it was an anniversary or retirement news. But then, my mom clinked her glass and announced it like a queen granting a royal favor. "We surprised Daniel with a house today. A beautiful 4-bedroom in the city. It's close to his job, and now he won't have to waste money on rent." Everyone clapped. My aunts, uncles, cousins, they all gushed about how generous my parents were, how lucky Daniel was, how amazing this milestone was for the family. And me? I sat there frozen, holding a fork I suddenly had no appetite for. No one noticed I wasn't clapping. No one noticed my face had gone pale. Because here's the kicker. When I was looking for my first apartment a year earlier, I begged my parents for just a little help with the deposit. Not to buy me anything, just a loan for a security deposit. You know what they told me? "Sweetheart, you're independent now. You have to figure it out yourself." That night at dinner, as everyone celebrated Daniel's shiny new house, that sentence replayed in my head like a cruel joke. And it was in that moment that I decided, if independence is what they want from me, then independence is exactly what they're going to get, on a level they never expected. The ride home from that dinner was the longest drive of my life. My brother's new house kept flashing in my mind like a neon sign, while my parents' words echoed, "You have to figure it out yourself." The irony was unbearable. I remembered that year when I first moved out on my own. I had 2 part-time jobs, scraping by, eating instant noodles while trying to build a life for myself. I swallowed my pride and asked them for help, thinking parents were supposed to be your safety net. But they said no. They told me being independent would build character. And now here they were, handing Daniel the keys to a mortgage-free 4-bedroom. The unfairness cut so deep, I cried myself to sleep that night. But something changed in me too. My tears weren't just sadness anymore, they were fuel. I promised myself I wouldn't be the forgotten one anymore. If they weren't going to bet on me, then I'd bet on myself. That night, I made a decision. I was going to build my own life so big, so successful, that one day they would regret ever underestimating me. I threw myself into work. By day, I was a junior analyst at a finance firm. By night, I studied for my certifications, learned about investing, and devoured books on business. While my brother posted pictures of backyard barbecues at his gift house, I was quietly stacking skills, connections, and savings. It wasn't easy. I had moments where I wanted to give up, but every time exhaustion hit, I thought back to that dinner table, the clinking glasses, the laughter, my brother's smug smile, and suddenly I had more energy than I thought possible. Years passed, and my hard work started paying off. Promotions came. My income doubled, then tripled. I saved every dollar I could, living frugally and reinvesting. My independence, the very thing they forced on me, became my greatest weapon. Meanwhile, Daniel, he got comfortable, too comfortable. With no mortgage to worry about, he coasted through life. He hopped between jobs, never taking anything seriously because he didn't have to. My parents kept bailing him out whenever he messed up, acting like he was just finding himself. And I kept waiting, not for their approval, not anymore. I was waiting for the right moment to show them that while they were busy cushioning Daniel's fall, I had been climbing higher than they ever thought possible. Then, one holiday dinner, that moment arrived. My parents were bragging again about Daniel's potential, about how lucky he was to have such supportive parents. My mom looked at me across the table and said with her usual dismissive tone, "Not everyone can be as independent as you, sweetheart. But we all have our paths." I smiled, but inside, I was already planning exactly how I'd show them that my path wasn't just independent. My path was about to eclipse everything they had given Daniel on a silver platter. And when the time came, they wouldn't just see it, they'd feel it. I didn't storm out of the room, and I didn't shout. Instead, I stayed calm, because nothing gets under someone's skin more than quiet control. My mom's face tightened as if she couldn't believe I had the audacity to push back. My dad looked like he wanted to argue, but even he knew deep down that I wasn't wrong. That night, I went home and thought about everything that had led me to that moment. Every birthday they celebrated for Daniel, but forgot about me. Every milestone they ignored, every success of mine that was brushed aside, every time they told me I didn't need their help. And now, after all of that, they wanted me to swoop in and save the very person they had built up while tearing me down. It was almost poetic. The more I thought about it, the more it became clear. I wasn't going to let years of neglect end with me being their safety net. But I also wasn't going to walk away quietly. If my parents were going to see the difference between me and Daniel, I needed to show them, not tell them. So I played the long game. I kept working, kept building, and quietly bought my first investment property. Then another. Soon, I had more assets than Daniel had excuses. While he was drowning in debt, I was watching my net worth grow month after month. And while my parents were too proud to admit it, I could sense their unease every time I pulled up to family dinners in a car I had paid for in full, dressed in clothes I bought without needing anyone's approval. Then came the day that changed everything. My company announced a major promotion opportunity, one that came with a six-figure salary and leadership role. I went for it with everything I had, and when I got it, I didn't hide it. I invited my parents out to dinner, sat across from them, and with the same calm smile I had used when I told them no, I shared the news. Their faces said it all. Pride and guilt battled in their eyes. For once, they couldn't pretend Daniel was the shining star of the family. They couldn't deny that I had outgrown the little box they had kept me in. And that was just the beginning. Because I wasn't done proving them wrong. I wanted them to feel the sting of realizing they had invested everything in the wrong child, and soon I'd have the perfect opportunity to make that clear. The opportunity arrived sooner than I expected. A family gathering was planned at my parents' house, one of those evenings where they liked to parade Daniel around as if he were royalty. Except this time, Daniel was anything but. He showed up late, disheveled and clearly stressed. Whispers floated around the table. Debts, missed payments, creditors calling. The golden boy's shine was fading, and fast. I sat there listening, watching. My parents tried to gloss over it, pretending everything was fine, but the cracks were too big to hide. Then my dad, desperate to shift the spotlight, turned to me. "You've been doing well at work, right?" he asked cautiously. My mom followed, her voice suddenly sweet. Maybe you could help your brother get back on his feet. He just needs a little support. A little support. That's what they called it. I leaned forward, my tone calm but sharp enough to cut through their denial. I built everything I have on my own because you told me I had to. You never gave me what you gave him. And now you expect me to fix the mess you created? The room went quiet. My brother shifted uncomfortably, but he didn't deny it. He couldn't. Then I did something I'd been waiting years to do. I pulled out a folder I had brought with me, documents of the properties I owned, the businesses I had invested in, the wealth I had created without a single handout. I laid them on the table, one by one. You gave him a house. I bought 3 of my own. You handed him security. I created mine from nothing. You wanted me to be independent? Congratulations. I am, and I don't owe any of you a dime. My parents' faces turned pale. Daniel looked like he might sink into the floor, and for the first time, the power shifted completely. I stood up, gathered my papers, and added, You taught me the value of independence. But you also taught me something else. You taught me who I could never count on. So don't count on me now. With that, I walked out. No yelling, no dramatics, just the quiet satisfaction of knowing I had finally turned the tables. From that day forward, the dynamic changed forever. They could no longer dismiss me. They could no longer compare me to Daniel. The truth was out in the open, clear, undeniable, and unforgettable. And while they were left scrambling to clean up the mess they had created, I kept moving forward, freer than I had ever been.